Yemeni children are facing starvation. Acute malnutrition rates among children under the age of 5 are the highest ever recorded in parts of the country. This leaves almost 100,000 children at high risk of dying if they don't receive urgent treatment. I'm joined by Bismarck Swangin from UNICEF in Sana'a, Yemen, for more on this shocking reality. I mean, it really is a tragedy that's been unfolding for many years. Give us an update on what you are seeing on the ground, what these children are going through.
Well, the number that you have spoken about is really a tip of the iceberg in terms of the tragic consequences of the over 5 years of a brutal conflict in Yemen. Families have been pushed into destitution because they have run out of food, they have limited access to water, health facilities on which families depend have been devastated. Only less than half of those are functioning. And so what we are seeing is the worst fallout of a man-made crisis that is heavily impacting the ordinary people. Yemen is a country of 30 million people. As I speak now, over 24 million people. Half of those children now require some form of humanitarian assistance to be able to survive.
I mean, you can't even get your head around that. Let's talk more about those facilities that have been attacked. I know there have been many aerial attacks, often by the Saudi-led coalition there on many of these places. So getting any sort of support, any sort of aid to those who need it the most in those far-flung areas is impossible.
Well, all parties to the conflict in Yemen have been responsible for attacks on civilian infrastructure, including health facilities, schools, water infrastructure, and on civilians. And what this means is that it has contributed to the devastation of this basic service infrastructure on which ordinary people depend and worsened the situation. In 2017, we saw the worst cholera outbreak in the world in Yemen with over 2 million cases. And this was partly exacerbated by the lack of access to clean, safe water, families that have been displaced and are constantly on the move with barely nothing, unable to be able to access basic hygiene. People's sources of income have been destroyed. The economy is on a free fall. So even professionals such as doctors, engineers, who used to be able to run private investments before are not able to do that now. The consequences is that almost every family has run out of income. There's high level of inflation in the country. And so as I speak now, 3/4 of Yemenis cannot even afford to buy soap. And so that is how these attacks on civilian infrastructure is further complicating the situation that people are going through.
And Bismarck, I mean, there are so many concerns happening there. Again, it's a proxy war, isn't it? I mean, with the Houthis linked to the Iranians, and what we've got on the other side is the Saudis fighting with the support of the US and the UK. And you wonder how this is ever going to end, because there is no obvious end game here. How long can this sort of trauma continue? As you say, all sides are complicit in this violence against women and children.
The war has to end now. This is a man-made conflict, and we believe that if there is will on the side of the parties to the conflict, this war can be ended, and that is really the ultimate solution to be able to return Yemen and Yemenis to the path of recovery. What we believe is that the parties need to really engage in dialogue and be able to bring this war to an end once and for all, before we reach a point of an irreversible point for this country.
All right, Bismarck Swangin, thank you very much for talking to us.